Of the relics of your son.
Yes. I see.
I cannot see it. Yeah, wait. Okay. Now some smile.
Welcome to His Holiness. Welcome. Thank you for investing your time in participating here. Today we have time to meet each other. Let's be active to the theme, Peace for Economy. My name is Anatol Pushpeta. I come from Holland, the Netherlands. I'm a business advisor to boards and CEOs of the big international companies, and I was invited to be your master of ceremony. Welcome to you all. It's an honor. Well, it's a good tradition to start with the lamp lighting ceremony. So please, let's start with that ceremony. Can we please take that together? Yeah, let's go. Hello. Thank you very much. Please, His Excellency Sabit Subacic to open with a speech. He's Ambassador of Bosnia-Herzegovina. Please, there you go.
Excellencies, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, this is unique occasion for all of us here. Special occasion for me, and I strongly believe special occasion for all of us. His Holiness Dalai Lama is with us today. Your Holiness, you are in turbulent world today symbol of hope, symbol of brightness, symbol of dedication, symbol of devotion, symbol of justice, symbol of humanity. And in this turbulent world, you are our hope. I wish you, on behalf of this audience also, good health and long life for benefit of humankind. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. For me, it's an honor, big honor, to welcome His Holiness, Dalai Lama. Please, can you give me a warm welcome and an applause. Thank you very much.
Dear brothers and sisters, whenever I meet people, I always consider they are my brothers, sisters. Actually, the 7 billion human beings, as a matter of fact, human brothers, sisters. And in ancient time, the sense of oneness of humanity, in ancient time, in religious prayer, you see, we usually say that, but in day-to-day life, not necessarily very relevant. Now today's world, sense of oneness of humanity is something very relevant to today's world. So whenever we see or face problem due to secondary level of differences, different nations, different faith, within same faith, same nation, differences of rich and poor, educated, uneducated, always there is differences. So then, too much emphasis on these differences, then the problem start. So when we face some sort of problem on the basis of different sort of nation or different faith or so on, then we must think we are same human being. The 7 billion human beings all come from our mother, all nurtured by mother's milk. So everybody, even you see today's troublemaker, even I think Stalin or Hitler and so on, these was a troublemaker or merciless leader, they also come from their mother when they are young. They very much cherishing mother's affection. So everyone, you see, who very much cherishing the affection, they also have the ability to show affection to others. And then I think most important, you see, some scientists, they carry some experiment. I often mention that. You see, cartoon. One cartoon, you see, 2 children play together with full affection. One cartoon that. Another cartoon, 2 children, so negative attitude, one another. You see, that cartoon show very, very young infant child, only a few months, not yet developed language. So then the very, very young infant child, when the cartoon, something affectionate sort of attitude shows, that small child smile, feel happy. Then another sort of cartoon, some negative attitude, one another, when the child see that unhappy sort of expression. And then most important, I think more important, the medical scientists, they found constant fear, anger, hatred, actually eating our immune system. So peaceful, healthy mind is very important for our physical health. So usually we call a healthy mind, healthy body. There's clear connection. So therefore, some of my friends, some scientists, really well-known scientists, you see, through their sort of experiment, they believe basic human nature is more compassionate. When I heard that, that gives me extremely real confidence, hope. Basic human nature is compassionate, positive. Therefore, there is, the basis of hope. If human nature is negative, angry nature, anger nature, then no hope. Then I think better follow ancient time some saint in a remote area in rock or cave and spend there. But since human nature is more positive, so then these problems, due to, I think, short-sightedness and extreme self-centered attitude, these we can change through education. So frankly speaking, although I am not modern educationist, educated, it seems, you see, the existing modern education system is very much oriented about external values, not internal value. When the subject comes about inner value, we usually rely on religious faith. Then sometimes, one occasion in Argentina, one meeting, including some religious leaders, some scientists, and one great Chilean scientist,
Umberto Maturana.
Kasa,
Umberto Maturana.
I can't pronounce that. Kasa. Loudly.
But Umberto Maturana.
Oh, that. One scientist, at least I know, that scientist is the teacher of Varela, another great scientist. You see, we become very close friends. So actually, Mind Life Institution started by him. So, 30 years ago, like that. So, that scientist, with a difficult name, you see, he mentioned at the meeting, he is quantum physicist. He mentioned, my field is quantum physics, but I should not develop attachment about that subject. When he mentioned that, I immediately felt, I'm Buddhist. I should not develop attachment towards Buddhism. It's quite clear, logical. Once you develop attachment, very nature of attachment is biased. So these people, too much attachment, your own nation, and your own sort of society or class like that, or your own friend, including religious faith. So then your whole attitude become biased. So attachment there, behind hatred also there. So usually, you see, I think the ordinary or normal people, you see, too much love with attachment. And they also, you see, some sort of tendency of hatred and suspicion, isn't it? So therefore, you see, love with attachment, love without attachment, there is big differences. So actually, we are trying now we are talking the love, loving kindness towards entire human being. That love is unbiased. So that unbiased love can extend your enemy. The biased love with attachment cannot extend towards your enemy. Clear? So like that. So therefore, now we really need effort to promote, the sense of oneness of humanity. That's the basis of moral ethics. That's the basis of love or genuine sort of compassion. So I usually call, I think since 73, I was always telling people, now we need sense of universal responsibility. The world is such. You see, East depend on West. West depend on East. Similarly, South, North, heavily interdependent. Then environment issue. No difference of national boundary or religious faith. Entire 7 billion humanity now facing this problem. So therefore, now today, not only in church or mosque or mandir or like that, some prayer for all human beings. Now, practical level, You see, we have to think entire 7 billion human beings. My own case, if 7 billion human beings on this planet happy, harmonious, peaceful, then definitely I get maximum benefit. If world distrust and worst thing, violence, how can, when we see, you see these killing, and now currently the refugees from many Muslim countries, children, women, old people, really helplessly, see, moving. When we see these pictures, feel very sad. And sometimes tears come. But then, the question, although not easy, but still there is possibility to do something. Then, it is, I think, immoral. In spite, you see, these suffering, you remain indifferent. Right? So we have to do something. So therefore, you see, I always telling people, we need promotion of sense of oneness of humanity, irrespective whether believer or non-believer. Actually, out of 7 billion, over 1 billion non-believer. These also human brothers, sisters, like that. So that's, let's say, peace, base of peace. Economy, I don't know. I think I have to learn from you. I usually say telling people, if I carry some sort of responsibility, one company, I think within 1 week, bankruptcy come. I don't know. So I prefer now, so what's the day? Because interaction, right? Question, answer, and different suggestions or comment. I prefer that. Instead of, I just say blah, 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 that. So, okay. So essence, we need the sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. The national interest, sometimes you see national interest or religious interest come first, then global interest. Like one time, Copenhagen summit. You see some important nations, they consider national interest more important first, then global interest. So I think that summit failed to produce some concrete guidance or decisions. Now I think that, like United States and many others, I think seriously looking or consider the environmental issue. I think very hopeful. And His Holiness Pope also, you see, mentioned these importance of ecology, these things. I think really wonderful. Now I think and then peace. Also I think, unlike the even you see, the mid part of 20th century. Then I think concept of war is the best way or unavoidable in order to solve problems. Later part of 20th century, I think that concept is changing. Now this is just following century, right? 20th century, now 21st century. Although some problems, violence here and there. But overall, I think humanity is thinking. I think a desire for peace is, I think, everywhere growing. That's a hopeful sign. Now concerned people, I think, should be active. Since you see millions of innocent people really want peace, do not want suffering, do not want violence. So now leadership should take effectively leadership in order to fulfill these millions of innocent people. If violence starts, the leaders can hide somewhere in Bengaluru or something like that. These poor people, nowhere to go. Like that. And then only pray to God. And sometimes God also fails to protect them. If may I say so, I also feel like that. I am Buddhist. Of course, I pray to Buddha. But at a real practical level, you have to work. Just pray to Buddha will not help you. Like that. So sometimes I feel, you see, if we have opportunity meeting Jesus Christ or Buddha and pray or ask, please bring peace on this planet, I think Buddha and Jesus Christ and also Muhammad, I think may tell, oh, these problems you created. So it is your responsibility to solve. God not created these things. God should give you infinite love. So you do not follow properly there. So you created this problem. It is your responsibility to solve. I think God will say that. So all these problems, we have to solve this problem with patience, with determination. And actually, frankly speaking, there is no other alternative. Killing, still going on. Will not solve all these problems. Never bring happy world. Through peace, through dialogue, there is through education, then there is possibility to achieve more harmonious world. So this is just the beginning of 21st century. Past is past. Nobody can change past. Future still not yet come. So there is possibility to change. So often you say, expressing, my generation, I think you also maybe, I think people whose age above 40, 50, you see, now I'm 81 years old. So our generation belongs to 20th century. That century gone. Now younger people, now here not much younger people. Younger people, you see, whose age below 30, 20, 15, then these generation are generation of 21st century. So 21st century, just the beginning. So if you make proper sort of effort, with vision, with determination, then I think later part of this 21st century can be century of peace and ultimately century of compassion. That's possible. So our duty now, our duty is create a lot of problem. That we already done. Now I think according to our own experience, now telling is our duty to telling younger generation. Now you see our style, thinking of more or less faith. So now let younger generation, generation 21st century, let them think, analyze more realistic way. Should not copy my generation sort of work like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, if there are any questions to His Holiness.
Your Holiness, Pranam. It's not a talk, it's a discourse. And we are spiritually enlightened, I might say. You've been talking, I've been following some of your preachings in the past. You've been talking about, is it audible there? Are you able to listen to me? Sorry. You've been preaching about kindness, which has been your theme in every substance. You also talked about compassion. with this growing intolerance today, in today's world, and with lack of compassion and hate, is there any simple solution? Because I know you've been preaching universal kindness, universal brotherhood, and so on, which is what is most people have followed you. And you've been a very ardent follower of Buddha and Mahatma Gandhi. Is there any one single, I'm not saying formula, any one single principle which you could tell us, which you could bind all of us together?
As I briefly mentioned, existing education system, it seems not adequate. When the subject about inner peace comes, we usually rely on religious teaching. Then the problem is, out of 7 billion, firstly, over 1 billion non-believer. And secondly, among the believer, there are different faiths. Like India, when you got independence, your constitution is based on secular. Reason, India, I think through centuries, multi-religious community. So therefore, those wise people who drafted the Indian constitution, they developed the concept secular based constitution. So this not something new in this country. I think over at least 3,000 years, the concept of ahimsa. With that, religious harmony. Over 2,000 years, this country, I think, besides Pope grown different religious tradition, all major religious tradition established in this country. So over centuries, this religious harmony. Yeah. So I must make clear. In the West, some my friends, they consider secular is something like disrespect to religion and some dissent from religion. Even if some of my friends, they consider secular some connection with atheism. But in this country, not like that. Secular means, as I mentioned earlier, respect all religions, no preference of this religion or that religion, and also respect non-believer. This is something very unique and very relevant today. So we should find ways and means to educate through education. Education is something universal. So it's the existing secular education field, the religious concept, little difficult. So therefore, secular ethics is quite can fit in education, secular education field. So actually, we have some scholars, India as well as in Europe, and particularly in America, now, last, I think over 1 decade, we already sort of, strong view in modern education, we have to introduce secular ethics on the basis of scientific findings and common experience and common knowledge, common sense. So, as a result, now we already developed a draft about secular ethics from kindergarten up to university level. So, if only available here to US, then I want to, if those people who have some interest, then I want, it available. You give the copy, and then not just read and think, and then any suggestions. You see, this is just a draft. So I give, you see, I already give some that book, some my friend, and ask them, please study this book, and so any suggestions, most welcome. And then next year, 2016, we are thinking India, also India, America, I think some kind of semi-international conference about education. That together, that further discussion. Recently, I met some professors from some universities in Delhi. You see, I will give that to copy, and then I look at them. And they said, very important. So then next year, we hopefully some sort of a finalize the draft, still draft. Oh, yes, yes. And then one school, or eventually 10 school, then watch the result. If the result is quite positive, then can expect 100 school, 1,000 school. The British Columbia, Canada, is already some kind of decision within the state, Columbia, British Columbia, is really secular ethics is something important to study. Right. So, next question.
Your Holiness, years ago, 58 years ago, Holiness, in 1957, you had come to Bodh Gaya, and that was on the occasion when the first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru,
Yes.
in 1957, 58 years ago, Your Holiness, you had come to Bodh Gaya. And that was the occasion when the first Prime Minister, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Nalanda,
Oh, not the guy.
there was the handing over, Your Holiness, of the relics of Unison in your presence in a golden casket.
Right. Oh, yes, yes.
I was present on that occasion, Holiness,
Oh,
and received
now
your
it's like
blessing.
previous time. 60 years. Oh, almost 60 years.
60 years ago.
Sometimes I think, oh, almost. Yes, okay.
I have a small question, Holiness, and on behalf of the audience, we will all be very deeply grateful if you can elucidate, if you can throw light on it. One of the profound statements of Lord Buddha was, Atma Deepo Bhava, be a light unto yourself. One of the profound statements of Lord Gautam Buddha was, Atma Deepo Bhava, be a light unto yourself. Holiness, could you please elucidate that, or how to become a light unto oneself? Thank you.
Yes. Sometimes the people get the impression, if the altruism means you forget, you neglect your own interests. This is wrong. Some people hate self. Such was impossible practice of giving love. First, take care of yourself. Then, the same way, extend to others. First, your friend. Then, neutral people. Then, troublemaker. You know, self-cherishing, not necessarily. I am very kind to myself. No. But simply, I have right to feel happy, to enjoy. So the ultimate source of peaceful mind is compassion. Compassion brings the inner peace. How? Firstly, is in compassion, is in openness of mind and respect. So then, we, as a social animal, always see living in human community. Actually, our very life, very existence is very much based on the community of society. When we have some kind of suspicion, distrust with community, how can that person be happy? The very basis of your own sort of future, your own life, you see, develops some close feeling, then compassionate feeling, then your mind open. No room of suspicion, distrust. Others also, you keep more compassionate sort of feeling, then other people also, even animals, also you develop trust. Trust is the basis of friendship. We are social animals. We need friends. Friends, not for money, not for power. Then I think friend, you see, when you have friend of money, friend of power, you need more friends. When your power, your fortune go decline, then no longer these friends come. So these are not genuine friend of human being, but friend of money, friend of power. So we need genuine friendship, genuine friend. No matter whether poor, or whether rich, or whether powerful, or whether innocent, or better, human being. If you smile them, if you take care, they also smile. Then you feel happy. So that's the way build friendly sort of community or friendship. So therefore, firstly, you see, love oneself. Then that same way, you see, extend to. So now point is, you see, you love yourself not out of you are nice towards me. I mean, I nice to me, not that. Simply, I want happy life. So therefore, the same reason, if your enemy, as far as the attitude is concerned, something negative, for terrorism, or dining, basically, these are. You can oppose, you can take comfort for the patient, for their legitimate, but so far they are human beings. So this basis of dialogue, just one side, and out of eight, very.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We have two more questions. Yeah.
So therefore, the rural area, I think there is more sense of community. So therefore, I think we should pay more attention development in rural area. I think health viewpoint also much better. Only I think we need better road, not only just national highway, but everywhere. You see the road communication, and then the village area. You see, you should develop or improve education facility and health facility, and then including some cinema or some nightclub. Okay, you see, let young people, let them enjoy it. So long peaceful. So, very good. Then, you see, the open space. Now in Delhi or Bengaluru, is too much car, difficult, economy develop. So, you see, more and more vehicles. So difficult. So, countryside. I noticed in Taiwan, you see, every village, they have farm and good building, good house, and 1 or 2 cars. I think India, should be, over 1 billion populated nation. I think India has resources, there. So that's my view. But otherwise, I don't know. And then, of course, those world leaders, now, already I mentioned, I think more and more leaders, you see, really sort of paying attention, you see, about importance of environment or global warming. That's really wonderful. Like that.
Your Holiness, thank you very much for your great advice to all of us. I come from the United Arab Emirates, from Dubai.
Kasa. Correct. Oh, yes.
Yes. So I just wanted to say thank you very much. I think your lecture was great, very good advice to all of us. I come from the United Arab Emirates that we have over 200 nationalities. We have different religions, and alhamdulillah, with God's blessing, we are all living in harmony and peace. So I believe, Your Holiness, is that maybe you should really get together with the leaders of the world and advise them about the compassion and to have more peace in the world. Because according to us, in our society, our great leaders, they are the ones who always supported the woman in our society. And even though I come from a very conservative society, but because our leaders, they are always preaching equality between men and women and giving the woman the position that she deserves to have high-level jobs in the government and in different sectors. This is why I do believe that the leaders of the world are the ones that you should give them the advice to make more peace and more compassion and more understanding to their own people. But this will be a very good advice, Your Holiness. Thank you very much.
I think first part, the religious harmony, since many years, I participated many occasions of interfaith meeting. As a matter of fact, September 11th event in New York and Washington. After 1 year, some kind of commemoration. Somehow I was in Washington. So that the meeting took place in National Cathedral in Washington. So they invited me. So I accepted. There are many people there. I express that due to some sort of mischievous people, Muslim background, you see, certain sort of the as a destructive sort of work, happen. That should not consider, you see, it should not sort of generalize. Islam is something militant. That's absolutely wrong. So some mischievous people, among the Jews, among the Hindus, among the Christians, even among the Buddhists also, some mischievous people there. So that will not represent the whole tradition. I know many Muslims since my childhood, really very peaceful. So one sort of because of the funny story. My youngest brother, you see, one occasion in Lhasa, in my my mother's sort of home, my youngest brother, very young. So my mother, very familiar with some of the Muslims in Lhasa. So one day, that Muslim, you see, so one day, you see, to come to my mother's sort of house. Then the youngest, my brother, was the first time saw some Muslim red beard. You know, my younger brother, much afraid person. Is there something there? And the red beard. So that's really sort of. And that same person, you see, who repairing watch. So one occasion, one my watch, you see, to repair. So I invited him to repair that watch. Then he advised me, a person who keep pocket watch should feel you have in your pocket some egg there. So you should feel like that. So that he hints me with that pocket watch to play, running here and there carelessly. Should not do that. That is, he hinted me like that. Very nice person. So like that. And then many Muslims I know, very sort of compassionate, wonderful people. So as a matter of fact, one of my Muslim, the very word of jihad is combat your own destructive emotion. That is the real meaning of jihad, not sort of harming other people. Firstly, I learned that my Indian Muslim, my Indian friend, one Muslim, told me that. Then later, I discussed one professor in New York. She confirmed that. The real meaning of jihad is your own internal destructive emotion combat. That means every sort of serious practitioner will always carry or practice of jihad. Like that. So therefore, at that time, I mentioned, since then, I come every occasion, interfaith meeting, I come forward different Islam. I think practically, realistically speaking, around 1 billion Muslims there. Whether you like it or not, it's reality. I think, frankly speaking, in ancient time, some Muslim forces come India, destroy Buddhist temples like that. So failed to eliminate Buddhism. So similarly, Islam, very important religion, will remain through centuries. So that's the reality. Quite often, there is some interfaith meeting. I mentioned, whether you like it or not, there is the Islam community, Christian community, a different community of different religious faith. That's reality. We have to live side by side. Then much better live harmoniously, happily. So that's the realistic. And then, as I mentioned earlier, all major worlds. Now here I want to mention, you say, Kazakh. all major religious traditions. You see, as a result of meeting with many practitioners, many scholars, you see, it seems to me three aspects of any religion, major religion. Number one, as a religion, all carry practice of love. Same, the Muslim, you see, my Muslim friend, you see, told me, person who practice Islam seriously, you should extend love towards entire creator of Allah. Wonderful, wonderful. So, all major religious traditions, same. Then, second aspect is philosophical views, philosophies. Even same Buddhist tradition, the Nalanda tradition, there are several different philosophical views. So that's, you see, what is the purpose to bring, conviction about practice of religion, practice of love. So utilize, use different method. Mainly, theistic religion, God, creator. Very powerful sort of philosophy. Creator as our father. The very nature of creator is infinite love. So, we all created by such sort of infinite love. So, we all have the seed of practice of love. So, like genes, ultimate sort of father, God, infinite love. So, we all have, you suggest, some kind of a, so genes, they're very powerful. And then, of course, according to theistic religion, all 7 billion human beings are come same source. So actually, real brothers, sisters. That's a very, very powerful concept. Then practice of tolerance, practice of forgiveness, all these come through with that sort of conviction, faith, philosophy. So, different philosophy. Some say there is creator. Jainism, Buddhism, Sankhyaism, no creator, rather self-creation. So, Buddha stated, you are your own master. So, but that also is very good. These 3 major traditions, one part of Sankhyaism, Jainism, Buddhism, no concept of creator, self-creation, but very much emphasis, you are your own master, your future entirely depends on yourself. So you should behave accordingly. If you do harm other people, you have to face negative consequences. If you help other people, you get benefit. So that way also, you see, that way of approach also very helpful, very useful. Okay. Then third aspect, cultural aspect, I feel. Here, I was told, you see, when Jainism, the founder of Jainism, Mahavira, when he came, at that time, in this country, immense animal sacrifice. So according to that circumstances, that reality, then he special emphasis was vegetarianism, so non-violent, not killing animal. So because of the circumstances, he sort of what's the special sort of emphasis, not killing animal. Then after I think 30, 40 years, Buddha comes. It's more or less the same way. And then, you see, there are some Muslims. You also, I feel, you see, the Muslim in the Sharia law, I think at that time, Muhammad did the local people are more nomad, isn't it? So you see, there is no sort of certain sort of rules or like that. So then some crimes, some sort of something. So he particularly emphasizes proper rule. Then Sharia law, I think, developed. Sharia law. And Buddhists, you see, although Buddha gives equal right, male and female, the bhikshu and bhikshuni. However, you see, when bhikshu and bhikshuni together, the bhikshu should, even the younger one, should come first, then bhikshuni. So these, I think, at the circumstances at that time, in the society, some kind of male dominance there. So these religious tradition also is some sort of influence, influence you some sort of just so the existing sort of social sort of system or environment, then some impact the religious side also, some religious sort of tradition, a little bit male dominance. Now here, I want to, the second point, the discrimination, male and female. Now here, I want to say something. Since many years, you see, it seems now, in I think, say about 100,000 years ago, then humanity, small community, I think family basis, not big community. So at that time, no concept of leadership. All work together, just one family, and whatever they get, share together. Then gradually, population increased, and the farming system developed. Then there is concept of my farm, my possession, my house, like that. So then some crimes which start. So the concept of leadership then developed. So at that time, no rule of education. So they, in order to become leadership, only physical strength. Like other animal, social animal, the leaders, male dominance of the animal, usually male, physically more stronger. So similarly, human being, no education rule, so male dominant then come. Then eventually, education develops. Education brings more equal, male and female. So recent centuries, very powerful leaders like Indira Gandhi ji here and Golda Meir in Israel and Mrs. Thatcher in England. Very right. You see, many female sort of leadership will come. Now time comes, as I mentioned earlier, existing education system is not adequate. We must make every effort to promote human love, human compassion. In that respect, female should take more active role to promote in education field and some other field. You see, female should take a more active role. So sometimes I feel, maybe if you, whether you agree or not, I don't know. So now at Paris, I think the climate conference, I think over 150 leaders there. I think most of them, I think 90% are male. So eventually, I think at least half are female. Then maybe a little safer. I think in history, I think most of the war heroes are male. Isn't it? So therefore, I think more female take the responsibility, maybe less violence. I don't know. But some female exception. Yes, like that. So female, I think, should take more sort of the active role to motion these things. Actually, I think in hospital, most cases nurses are female or lady, like that. So I think the people should the female, and we, I think, should respect more. Therefore, sometimes I express, in case future, in case the Dalai Lama institution is something relevant, still relevant at the time of my death, and then the next Dalai Lama, there's possibility one female Dalai Lama.
Very good. Your Holiness.
Because, that is my background of thinking, the female. Now scientists, they sort of experiment. When two persons, one female, one male, seeing one movie, someone passing through painful experiences, then biologically, physically, it's a more response, female. Then we male quite tough. So when we see some suffering people, okay. Female sometimes crying like that. So that's, scientists say, biologically, female has more feeling, more sensitivity about others' pain. Like that. Do you agree that? Yes. Wow, good. You look like very strong body man.
Your Holiness.
Yes.
Your Holiness, I'm the French Consul General here, and I remember you visited my country several times this last years, and it was an important event because you're a very greatly respected spiritual leader in France as well. And this morning we had the pleasure to hear and learn from you here. What you just said about interface, you mentioned terrorism 9/11. Of course, Paris last month suffered terrorism, and what you said about interface, bringing back harmony and being compassionate is a very important message, because clearly security measure will not solve all the problems. So, and in the light of what happened last month in Paris, it resonates in a particular way. You also mentioned climate change, and you mentioned the Paris Climate Conference, which was open last week, and next week is the second and last week. So hopefully at the end of next week, next Sunday, yes, there should be an agreement, hopefully. And you mentioned the oneness of humanity, and clearly that's the word of Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. We do not inherit the land of our father, we borrow the land of our children. We share the same planet. What could be a message you could address to the people in Paris, to the negotiator, to give them inspiration to reach an ambitious enough agreement at the end of the week?
That's difficult to say. Those experts, I think the leaders, with, I think, including expert advisors, so I think they know best. I think now important is political will. Now, no matter there's some short setback, short term. In spite of that, you see, we have to think the global issue and the long-term issue. As you mentioned, of course, I'm among no children, so you have the children and those who have children, then there are grandchildren, grandchildren. So the grandfather or grandfather have the responsibility to think about these future generation. So we simply, when I die, nothing. So therefore, you see, I think when I first came to India as a refugee, 1959 and early 60, at that time, nobody talks about environment. Now, last over 55 years, then, you see, firstly, I also, you see, learned the importance of environment. Firstly, I noticed, it's the same water. People say, this water cannot drink, too much pollution. When you were in Tibet, any water we can drink. So firstly, the first time when I heard, I learned today, amazing way, same water, but cannot drink. So, and then also you see, I have this sort of hope, develop hope. The Sweden, the river, and go Stockholm. Now, I was told some of my friends, Swedish friends, say, sometime back, no longer any fish. Since the Swedish company and also I think government, you see, take special care about the environment. So those factories along these rivers, you see, they pay special attention. As a result, fishing, I really pay. So, you see, there is possibility, even some damage once done. So, if we pay more attention, you see, we have, and then one occasion, I think in Germany, I visited one factory, especially, arranged without harming or environment. I don't know how much in France, I don't know. So in any way, so that really, now today, I think now, even the leaderships now talking about the environment, these things, I think wonderful, really wonderful. So they may take, I think, realistic, proper decision. I have nothing to say. But political will and think long-term, global issue, that's, I think, as I mentioned before, I think something important. So that's all. So then, firstly, I think female and male, that the female should take more active role. Now, in sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, even Buddhist traditions, a little bit sort of discrimination, where emphasis more male. So these, I think, we need to discuss with some kind of international Buddhist conference. Similarly, in Hindus in India, it's like the Kasavini. When husband passed away, the wife has no right to remarry her like that. These, we have to think more seriously. And caste system. Maybe part of India's tradition, but outdated tradition must change. So these related with religious belief. So spiritual leaders should come out, should speak constantly. Then millions of innocent people, villagers, low caste people, should give courage, self-confidence, and equal. God created, or Brahma created, same way, all faces, for Kshatriya or Brahma and caste. Same source. Brothers, sisters. You see, these must change. And then also, you see, the Tibet case. Sometimes you see too much emphasis about reincarnated Lama. That sometimes I feel a little bit sort of some influence of feudal system. That outdated. So I deliberately, 2011, I totally retired from political responsibility. Not only myself retired, but also 4-century-old tradition. Dalai Lama institution, since I think 17th century, right? 17th century, Dalai Lama institution automatically become head of both temporal and spirituality. Now that formally, proudly, voluntarily ended. I do not want to see those certain sort of traditions which actually developed during feudal system. I think that outdated. I often tell people, some people say Dharma institution is something very important in order to keep Buddhism in Tibet. I always tell you, there is no institution of Buddha, no reincarnation of Buddha. But the Buddha's teaching now last 2,600 years kept. So institution is not important. Important is knowledge and practice. Sometimes you see Tibetan, I think the Tibetan Lama institution, that is a tradition. I think, frankly speaking, some cases, wonderful, very sort of great service to Buddha Dharma. But sometimes I think spoiled pure Buddhist sort of teaching. Frankly speaking, you see, we also have Lama politics. Unnecessary. So better, no longer any Lama institution. Through study, through practice, become sort of qualified spiritual leaders. That's very good. Otherwise, you see, young Lama, no qualification, only empty name, and only the people in public level, so sometimes they more respect young Lama, even some stupid Lama, there's more respect, and then the great sort of scholars or teachers. That's sort of sign of backwardness. We have to change. We have to accept this reality. We have to change. Now in India, if may I say so, ancient time, you see, there are many top scholars among the Buddhists, among the non-Buddhists. So there is scholarly sort of what's the discussion or challenge. So that immense help to both sides. There's strong challenge from Buddhist scholars. So Hindu scholars also is further developed. And similarly, top scholars from different Jain scholars and Sangha philosopher and different sort of the revelation. So these sort of really immense help, Nalanda tradition. Because there is a lot of challenge. So this immense benefit. So now today, I think, if may I say so, many Hindu sort of spiritual leaders, you see, and also Hindu practitioners, faithful people, you see, just to satisfy some rituals and some recitation, not much study. That's very necessary. I think two years ago, one World Hindu Conference took place in New Delhi. They invited me. I told them, in ancient time, there are a number of top scholars, logicians, philosophers, among the non-Buddhist practitioners. Wonderful. Nowadays, except some, I know, some sadhus, really great practitioner, at the same time, really good knowledge, wonderful. But overall, I think generally, they simply carry some pujas, some rituals, isn't it? And some color here, like that. Not much pay attention for knowledge. When I put some questions, then not clear answer. Of course, I respect their puja, and I also used to get blessing from their puja. But when it's philosophical questions or certain things, when I raise questions, quite often. So I mentioned at the World Hindu Conference, please pay more attention about these ancient knowledge and including knowledge about mind. Sometimes I think maybe too bold, I think. The modern psychology, I met a number of psychologists. The modern psychology, compare ancient Indian psychology. Ancient Indian psychology, highly developed. So compare that, modern psychology looks like a kindergarten level. So I often telling my Indian friend, now pay more attention. Psychology, not considered as a part of religion, but as a part of academic subject, knowledge. Over 30 years, my experience, serious discussion with modern scientists, mainly cosmology, then psychology, then neurobiology, then physics. So, you see, after 30 years of a serious discussion, it becomes very clear. We learn many useful information from scientists. One casualty as a result. Now I am no longer believe Mount Meru. That's the only casualty. Otherwise, you see, very helpful to learn atoms and subatomic things and quarks. All these wonderful, very useful to learn. And to scientists, they found very useful information from ancient Indian psychology, Indian knowledge about mind, about emotions. Really wonderful. So those who do. And then I think the Arab world also, you see, I think ancient knowledge, I think the astrology or many things, you see, very ancient. Iran, this area. So therefore, you see, now we should, those people, you see, who have some interest, I think should pay more attention, serious sort of the study about these ancient knowledge as an academic subject. That's my view. I often used to tell you. So, my Indian friend, now please should not content just a ritual and recite like something Ram. This should not sort of satisfy on that level. So study these ancient Indian sort of knowledge, and particularly South Indian. I tease you see, I live North India, so sometimes I teasing my North Indian people. The ancient top scholars of Nalanda, most of them come from South India. So South Indian have some special brain, it seems. So some my friend told me, crime rate in South India less. Because you see, 1,000-year-old studies of prosperity, and also society, economically also you see less gap comparatively rich and poor. So you see, South India, I think it is wrong place. Praising South Indian in South India. I think wrong place, I think. Like that. Okay.
One last
Just last question, yes.
In one of your interview, I heard that you are a professional laugher. Despite all that problems, still you continue to laugh. My question is that if more people start laughing like you, can we bring world peace?
I don't know. Yes, I don't know.
Okay, can we laugh with you for 1 minute, all of us, for just a few minutes, few seconds?
I don't know. That's I don't know. You see, one in New Delhi, you see, one Tibetan from the school. Sometimes I spend, you see, there. I live there, you see, sometimes a few days. No. So beside, you see, that school, one garden. So in early morning, many people who visit that, you see, they just practice. Ha 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 ha. I feel, you see, quite strange. You see, certain point things, you see, come. And then from heart, you see, some automatically come laugh. That's, I think, good. Artificial laugh. Ha 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 ha. I don't know. That is really some meaningful or not. I really don't know. But some say, wholeheartedly sort of laughing is good for heart. Some say, and lung. Some say that. I don't know. That I think better to come automatically. I think that also, you see, once, if I'm saying the name of Dalai Lama, but remain very holy person, like that, I think then no basis of laughing. I think like, I myself consider I'm just another human being. We are same, mentally, or emotionally, physically, we are same. So then, I always feel, whenever I come to meet the people, I feel, oh, same for the family member. If I too much emphasis formality, but then you see, the audience also may not feel very sort of joyful, and I myself also.
The last one,
So therefore, I don't like formality. Informal is much better. We have same emotion. Some destructive emotion also there, constructive emotion also there. They are same. So, communicate on that level. We both, you see, feel much happier and realistic, isn't it?
I fully agree. Fully agree.
Yes. Thank you.
Excuse me, the last one, please.
Yes.
Can I speak? Excuse me.
I want to.
The last one.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
The last one? No?
Yes, yes. Yes.
His Holiness, I am a journalist. And excuse me, but Pacific Islam could change European value, like freedom. What do you think about it?
Not very clear.
Can I repeat?
Please repeat.
Pacific Islam could change European values, like freedom, for example. What do you think about it? Our food, our values, our style of life.
Sometime back, this is some in articles or newspaper or media people, sometimes they create some kind of impression, clash, the Western civilization and Islam. I think that kind of impression is very dangerous. Muslim also a human being. I think there are some sort of differences. Those Muslims remain isolated, much less contact with the outside world and other traditions, than their way of thinking. And then Muslim in India, and Muslim in Malaysia, Muslim in Indonesia. You see, in their community, there are number of Buddhists, number of Hindus, and Christians. So, you see, there, because of that circumstances, you see, more vital contact. Like in India, Indian Muslim, I think almost no report Shia-Sunni conflict. Many, my friends, you see, Shia-Sunni, just a name, no problem. In Ladakh, for example, not only Shia Sunni, but also Muslim and Buddhist and Christian. Very harmonious, mutual respect. So now here you see one concept of one truth, one religion. Another concept, several truth, several religions. Now these two things appears contradiction. But in the reality, in the terms of individual, the concept of one truth, one religion is very relevant in order to keep your own faith. But in the terms of community, several truth, several religion is very important. As I mentioned earlier, whether we like it or not, there are at least, I think, 10, 15 major different religious traditions there. These not newly developed, over 1,000 years there. Then, as I mentioned earlier, if we pay deeper way, all carry same message of love. Different philosophy, same purpose, same aim. So therefore, once we understand that, once we know that, then mutual respect, mutual learning comes. So I think the the problem now a lot of refugees, very, very sad. The other day I expressed now those refugees who went to Europe. I think unlike Tibetan refugee community, we very small number. They are big number. So I think the concerned European, particularly Germany, I think really wonderful. And some others, European member states of European Union. You see, those more richer countries, I think very, very generous. So wonderful, but at the same time, we should plan these refugees some kind of temporary shelter in Europe to those young people, young children, provide facility for education. Then youth, male and female, should provide some kind of skills, training, some skills. Yes, then when our men, while people taking care of these refugees, we have to make every effort to bring peace in their homeland. Then when homeland becomes peace, then these ready to come back, go back, and productive community. And then also I think immense benefit they already experience the European lifestyle. Like this. And then return, I think build their own country like that. I think very, very useful. So I think wider context. I noticed I have been Jordan, I think at least three or four times I have opportunity to visit Jordan. So Jordan, more wider contact with outside world, Western world, education. When I met Jordanian school children, of course, they only differences is when I meet some Muslim women, I also, you see, sometimes I jokingly, you see, so you see, except you see that kind of dress. Question, same, because of education. So those Arab countries like Syria and Iran, I think you see, besides your own religion and some other tradition, I think more vital contact with outside world. One time in Ladakh, some delegation from some Arab countries, I think 3 or 4 Arab countries, a small delegation. They just visit Ladakh. So that time I was there. So they come to see me. and they, all of them, teachers, some universities like that. So among them, some ladies there. Then I told them, oh, now here, among your delegation, some ladies as a teacher. This is very good. This is bring more equal. So outsider, maybe, you see, a little sort of inconvenient to say something. But within yourself, you see, some kind of confidence and more equal and same right for women in that delegation, as I mentioned earlier. Teachers, as professors, lady. So at that time, I suggested one of the Arab countries, some kind of the Muslim world sort of, international Muslim sort of conference, and discuss, you see, how sort of further sort of develop. And frankly speaking, now some of these sort of activities really, I think, very, very harmful for image of Islam. So these very faithful Islam, then their behavior is actually very harmful. Like, if possible, some occasion I mentioned those Burmese Buddhists, some Buddhists, you see, quite violently, you see, okay, very nice, very nice. so Burmese, some sort of, the Buddhists, one time, I really surprised and really sad. See, I think sometime back, Time magazine, because of the front cover, mentioned Buddhist terrorist, Buddhist monk, one picture and one Burmese monk, these are Buddhist terrorists. So you see these, you see, very bad for image of Buddhism. So similarly, so therefore, you see, I think firstly we should cool down. Just, you see, violence, counter-violence will not solve that. You see, we have to find ways and means to cool down their emotions. Then discuss. When you see their emotion out of control, then there is no room for reasons. So cool down. Then meet, discuss. So I briefly met the European Muslim, one leader I met before come here. You see, I already sort of mentioned. You see, firstly, I think some Indian Muslim from India, I think should carry some sort of effort to reach out. And then, since many years, I suggested to Indian government of India, the present government also, I suggested, this is there's some kind of international sort of the religious conference. India is really worthwhile. So I think the right place within the country, as I mentioned earlier, all major religious traditions there. So convene one international religious conference. Then leaders, I think at the beginning, some sort of formal speech or something like that. Then some scholars, you see, further discussion, and arrange some kind of touring in India. You see, different place. You see, since 75, right? Since 75, I start one practice. You see, pilgrimage to all spiritual sites. I start that Sanat, Varanasi. Varanasi. You see, I visited one small mosque, some silent meditation with some Muslim. Then church, then Hindu temple, then Buddhist temple. I think at that time, I think Sanat no Kasati, synagogue, no synagogue. But otherwise, you see, in Delhi, you see, the same sort of practice, the pilgrimage to different sort of holy sites or different sort of holy places of different tradition. See, each place, you see, they give me one hat at the Gaza. In Delhi, the famous mosque of what we call yes, there are, you see, a group of Muslim friends. You see, they pray. I also with white hair, white hat. Then remain like that. So the next day, many local Indian newspaper, you see, appears, you see, publishes that picture. So, frankly speaking, I felt, oh, what kind of reaction from my Hindus? So, but then later, you see, my friend told me, oh, everybody very much appreciate. With Buddhist monk's dress and Muslim hat, and seriously, sincerely pray together. So then Assisi meeting, the late Pope, you see, he sort of was the initiated. At that time, I told him, I very much appreciate. Meantime, I hope this kind of meeting should be beginning, should be continued, not just once. I mentioned that. So therefore, and recently, I think the present Pope is visited one, I think, mosque in Nigeria or something. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So you see, we need sort of more effort to bring more closer feeling, closer understanding. That's, I think, very, very important. And particularly like the Paris of these problems. You see, we have to think long-term sort of possible solution. So that's through dialogue, make friends, bring trust. That's the way. So I think we can develop that kind of absolutely genuine sense of spiritual brotherhood, sisterhood. I think we can do it. So here India can make, I think, a significant contribution.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Just hold on. There's a question of your neighbor. Is that okay?
It's not question, later.
Okay, very good.
Yes,
Thank you.
one question here.
National Holiness Secretary representing Akhil Bharatiya Ground Construction District. And of course I have one opinion. Where there is will, there is a way. That means to say, duty with devotion and dedication derives from doubtless divine divinity. And service with a smile and sacrifice negative spiritual
satisfaction. Hello. See, where there is faith, there is love. Where there is love, there is peace. Where there is peace, there is God. Where there is God, there is no need. Because prayer is the key of the day and lock of the night. Prayer goes up and blessings come down. We should always pray for the welfare of the entire world.
Sir, what is the question, please?
Yes, please. Yeah. May I know how the prayer will certainly affect when we pray God for our spiritual satisfaction or the worldly improvement in any way. Because we are all on this materialistic life rather than spiritual life. So kindly explain me how we could just reach the eternity or something like that. If you could kindly enlighten me, I'd be too grateful to you, sir.
Main point is you mean how much how much important about prayer. That's very, very important. According to my own experience, this is for one's own individual inner peace. Prayer, very important, very helpful. But then, pray for world peace, I doubt. I think 1,000 years, every sort of group of follower of faith, I think always pray. But I think we Tibetan also, I think several centuries, we always pray, but fail to bring satisfactory result. So I believe more action, not prayer.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, last question. Yes. Now, last question. You want another question?
Oh,
You okay?
Yes.
Yes, please. The microphone is coming up.
Your Holiness, I am Ramesh Solanki, Senior Journalist, High Court Advocate and Notary Government of India. This very theme of peace for economy, in my view, the marketing of arms and ammunition is being done by so-called countries which you better know. So the arms ammunition marketing, their economy of the suppliers will be improved.
Sir,
whereas the
can I ask you sorry to interrupt, to give a quick question, please?
Only the underdeveloped and developed countries will suffer by arms pile-up, nuclear technology and atomic power used for destructive purposes.
Main point, nuclear weapon? Nuclear weapon? Oh, nuclear power for peace? That I don't know. Some experts say nuclear sort of power is something clean. Like Japan and also China, they are very much sort of because of the emphasis, clean sort of power from used nuclear power. The nuclear weapon is concerned, I think 1 year ago, in Italy, perhaps you may know, I think the Consulting Institution, Nobel Laureate Peace Summit in Rome. Firstly, South Africa, they arranged. Then finally, South African government is reluctant to give me a visa. So then other Nobel laureates, showing as a solidarity, they all refuse to go there. So then the organizer, shifted the venue to Rome. So there, as usual, was one Nobel laureate, one organization about nuclear. And then after, yes, one also the report. If nuclear, the Holocaust happened, and what sort of consequences next, I think several decades. Really, very, very, terrible. Then, you see, we sort of, I express. Now, free nuclear weapon of this world. Now, just mentioning that idea or that sort of plan, not sufficient. Now we have to make timetable within next 2 years or 3 years. We have to achieve the free nuclear weapon on this planet. So at that time, I think few Nobel laureates there, we and other sort of the organizations also, you see, now, at that time, we more or less, we unanimously decide. Now we should make some kind of target within the certain years, 2, 3 years. Then worldwide movement. Then eventually, I think like United Nations and those nations who have nuclear power, I think like America and some of these nuclear powered nations, now already talking, you see, reduce nuclear weapon like that. So now should more active with certain target within timetable like that. So that's one idea. And eventually, I hope, you see, like Japan, I think, who suffered nuclear bomb. So there's very, very strong emotional feeling about anti-nuclear weapon. So I often, you see, express Japan should lead anti-nuclear movement. And then some other countries will follow. I think many European countries, I think certainly you see, will follow. I think, isn't it? Wonderful. Yes, we are really very free. Wonderful. Yes, very practical. So that is our view. Now we should move practical way. You see, free nuclear world. You have nuclear weapon on this planet.
Thank you.
And then also, you see.
Sorry, sir.
Huh? Karsa.
Sorry.
Huh? Only. That's right. I agree. So recent, the tsunami, due to tsunami in Japan, one nuclear power, also for electricity, for people. Even then, you see some the consequences, negative consequences become very serious. So therefore, you see this. And then finally, one our hope is this world eventually should be demilitarized world. I think here, Franco-German unified forces. I think in the past, one of my German friend, Professor von Weizsäcker, late von Weizsäcker, you see, I learned from him about quantum physics. So I often see mentioning David Bohm and von Weizsäcker, great scientist. I got, you see, I think a few occasions lecture on quantum physics. So then later I describe myself as a hopeless student, a great physicist, great scholar. Reason, while I listen their explanation, it seems I got some understanding. After finish that lecture, nothing left here. So I describe hopeless student. So in any way, you see, von Weizsäcker once told me, when he was young German, every French eye, Germany is their enemy, and German eye also similar. Now, that time, you see, 1990s, he told me, nowadays, no one feels that way. Actually, I think Adana, de Gaulle, you see, developed the concept of European Union. Wonderful. Then also, Franco-German unified force. I think eventually, the unified force, the European Union, then eventually, Africa also, you see, should create unified force. Then Latin America, then America. This year, India and eventually India and China should create a unified force. Then no danger. So this actually should keep in our vision. So European Union, I really feel great sort of example. The past century is a fighting, but that completely gone, become history. Now thinking about common interest. Yes, wonderful. And I really admire German economy, very powerful. German Deutschmark, very powerful. But they are, because of that, voluntarily accept, sacrifice their Deutschmark and create a euro. And Italy, I think lira, not much value. So it's good, you see, to transform euro, isn't it? Like that. So therefore, I really admire the European sort of spirit, European spirit of European Union. That's why, you see, although I now already completely retired from Tibetan political leadership, but when I have the full responsibility, I start since 1974. We discussed thoroughly concerned officials. We are not seeking independence. We are not seeking separation from People's Republic of China. You see, for common interest, we, of course, past history is history. Of course, I think some American university, as a result of their thorough sort of research about past history, mainly based on Chinese literature, history about 7th century, 8th century, 9th century. You see, according to the Chinese sort of ancient sort of the historians of the record, you see, they found at that time three very powerful empires: Chinese Empire, Mongol Empire, Tibetan Empire. Tibetan Empire emphasis more on spirituality, religion, Buddhism. Then Mongol Empire emphasis military forces. Chinese Empire more political matters. So these are past history. History. Now we thinking future. So Tibet materially backward, poor. So remain within the People's Republic of China. We get immense benefit for material development. And in the meantime, we have our own unique sort of script and language. And with that, you see, I think the Nalanda tradition, today, I think as a matter of fact, I think pure, complete Nalanda knowledge exists only in Tibetan Buddhist tradition, not other Buddhist countries. Although the China also, you see, follow of same Nalanda tradition. But when I met some Chinese monk or professors, as a matter of fact, any Japanese here? No Japanese. Okay. Now, okay. You see, one occasion in Japan, you see, of course, it's the same tradition, Chinese Buddhist tradition, and Vietnamese, Korean, and Japan, it's the same sort of tradition. And Tibet, also it's the same tradition, Nalanda tradition. I have sort of number of close friends among the Japanese Buddhists and scholars and abbots like that. So one occasion, one great scholar, as well as great sort of spiritual leader, one Japanese, one old abbot, I really respect him, admire him. Wonderful. So, since we become very close friends, then one time he told me, we Japanese Buddhists, like any other sort of, Buddhists so-called Mahayana sort of follower, we all recite 그래서 항제 신규, the Paramita Sutra. We all recite that, but then my friend told me without knowing the meaning. Then he told me, you see, our explanation is something very, very helpful. He told me like that. We Tibetan also, you see, I think entire Tibetan recite these sort of texts, but most cases without knowing the meaning. Unless you spend, in order to become a normal scholar, according to our tradition, at least you need 20, 30 years study. The root text memorize. For me, as a lady student, lazy student, you see, I also, you see, learned by memory, memorize these root texts. Now most of them gone. So, and that since I was quite sort of quite lazy student and very reluctant to study, so my tutor, you see, kept 1 week. So at that time, my elder brother and myself studied together. So my teacher kept 2 weeks, 1 normal week, 1 yellow week. So that yellow week supposed to the holy student, Dalai Lama. Then I know if yellow week use, I know no difference of holy pain. So therefore, out of my fear, I carry study. And looking that week, and I study more serious. So like that, I think we have very, very rich tradition, Nalanda tradition. It is absolutely wrong, is it to say Lamaism. That's a wrong word. Actually, the Tibetan tradition is pure lineage or true tradition of Nalanda tradition. So Sanskrit tradition. You see, according to the Buddha's own teaching, Buddha stated, all my followers, monks, scholars, should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment. So that's very scientific. So some of the followers of Buddha, like Nagarjuna, they reject some of the Buddha's own teaching. If you accept this teaching, it goes against such reasons. So therefore, you see, we should not accept, you see, such teaching. So that's something quite unique, isn't it? So we have such a rich tradition. So that, I think now today in China proper, over 400 million following Buddhism. So many of these Chinese Buddhists now already showing genuine respect and interest about very rich Tibetan Buddhist tradition. So therefore, according to Chinese constitution, they mentioned certain rights, language, and also some traditions, some spirituality. These already mentioned in the constitution. If these rights implement on the spot properly, then so therefore, at that time, then now we are not singing independence. We want to achieve meaningful autonomy. So that's mutual benefit. So main sort of inspiration where? Inspiration from European Union's concept. Wonderful, wonderful. Now, okay, too long.
Thank you very, very, very much. Big round of applause, please.
Thank you, thank you.